Right, everybody, welcome back to Disco Elysium. We are continuing from where we left off last time with the little fishing village. We're gonna look around a little bit and then maybe we'll see what else is to the north. We haven't found our drunk working class husband yet, but I'm pretty sure we will. And we'll probably come back to this fishing village anyway because of the interactions that are still that we could still be doing. I actually do want to talk to the twins again because we just talked to their sister.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
Alright. You must be Lillian's twins.
This one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Lily's our mum.
Explains the other one, tongue still lolling out of his mouth. I already said that.
The stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. Wow, so intellectually stimulating.
Indeed. Is little Lily your sister?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
That's it, you're being laconic about it?
It doesn't look like he knows what that means.
Of course he doesn't. Children are... Let's try and say that. The scruffy-haired little kid laughs as though in agreement.
You're stupid.
The other one tells him suddenly, very seriously. Okay, how about the policeman asks you something else now? I'm just gonna leave now, I'm gonna leave and not talk to you anymore. No, we're just gonna keep asking questions.
Okay.
Scruffy-haired boy squints up at you. Well, it seems we are not gonna ask you any questions because there's no more questions to ask. Bye kids. Take care. Alright, we talked to the drunks. Let's see if there's like... Is it me or is the color palette changed? I guess it's because of the snow. Let's see, can we go out there? Come on. Looking back at you from the rust-colored water. You. Your reflection. I see my reflection in the mirror underneath the color of the light. Rust-eaten letters read Mazout. Mazout, right? That's the company? Is that it? The rear tire of a motor carriage adorns the reeds. Apparently another motor carriage that got destroyed somewhere. The water runs from the west, the source is upstream. A broken pipe? Yeah, or maybe like an exhaust pipe from a factory or something. Can we go up there? Ooh, we have to go all the way around. There's so much that we're passing by right here. What's that? Ooh, there's something. Got some more money. No boat in the boathouse today. Section of the coast hasn't been used in decades. Ooh, somebody hit some magnesium and some oversized superstar sunglasses. We would lose some visual calculus on that, which is super important for our build, I would say. But we would gain some savoir-faire, which is obviously really cool because we... Look at that. I mean, we're gonna keep these ones, but it's very good to know that we have more options. Always cool to have like some stuff lying around here that we can use. The boathouse is shoddily constructed. A strong breeze might blow it over. We're finding so much money here. Isn't that ironic? You find the most money lying around in a district that is basically the poorest part in town. Maybe it's not ironic, because technically you would have to say, while money certainly is worth the most over here, right? In this like eat or be eaten district, there would certainly be maybe more focus on your community and more focus on like just trying to survive and less focus on the material itself. Might not be true though. Ancient paint is peeling off the roof of the shaded bench covered in rust. Sign says Entra Interdite. An old ticket taker booth, no longer in operation. This looks like a theme park, like a former theme park or something. Like there's some, or maybe like I mean ticket taking, maybe a museum or something.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Ooh, and we do have to click visual calculus. Ooh, we have all the bullet holes that we saw. Look, Kim, even more bullet holes. Something's definitely gone down here.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual. Even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinelli sense. Grim affairs.
Yeah.
Meaning, this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days.
Why not?
The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution.
Makes sense.
The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much.
It was a very
We
bloody
do need
revolution.
to retain some humanity in this world.
Why does many bullet holes? 72% is good, but we might fail this.
A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall.
Look at this.
There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement.
This is a shooting squad, isn't it?
10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. Snowflakes fall on the wooden planks and the surrounding sand dunes, covering the land with the white of innocence.
Ooh, I love this graphic though, on the side, like holy shit, dude.
A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains.
What is this?
The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed.
Conscience round, very interesting, right? Like the idea of spreading the responsibility of something where everybody knows their shot could be the fatal one, but nobody knows whose shot ends up being the fatal one, which is very interesting because you use that in, like, even today in executions in states where the death penalty is still a thing. I do think you use that, not in terms of like a bullet round, but more in the terms of like you have people pulling the or pushing the button, but it's multiple people and you don't specifically know who did the deed, which is very interesting because this plays into a phenomenon that exists on the other side of this as well, which is on the side of civil courage and helping other people in need, helping other people who are the victim or the target of a crime, where in public spaces there's this diffusion of personal responsibility, right? Like if a person is being attacked or being mistreated or whatever, you often have these cases of people standing around or walking past and not really doing something about it. And one of the reasons is that there's this diffusion of personal responsibility, that you are in a public space and you think where everybody, like anybody, could help this person, right? So there's not as much incentive to actually go for it, right? I'm not involved in this, right? Let's just steer clear of it. People obviously also have their personal like safety in mind and are, well, you could call them cowardly, but in a way they're just looking out for their own survival as well. So there's the like, there's the question of, if you are a victim of some kind of crime that's happening in a public space, what do you do in order to get people to actually help you? And one of the things that have proven as somewhat effective, at least in experiments and studies, was that you are addressing one specific person directly, right? Like, you are involving a person actively in what's happening here by talking to them directly. By that, you more or less, at least that's the going theory, you do activate their conscience and increase the amount of personal responsibility they feel for the situation, because they've been actively involved and talked to in that moment, right? So there's this, if I actively refuse in that moment, the problem is not that anybody else could have done something and nobody did something, but somebody talked, like that person, that victim talked to me, right, and wanted help from me personally. And by denying that help, I would actively deny it instead of passively denying it, or passively just keeping myself distanced from the situation. It's very interesting because I feel like, and that is like a personal anecdote, it's not something that I know from studies, but I do feel like something similar also happens when you're talking about people who are begging on the street, right? Like homeless people, or people who are very poor and don't have like a stable work or whatever, and they're asking you for money. And if they're just sitting on the side of the road, it is easier for most people to just walk past and ignore it and think, well, somebody else is going to give them money. But if they actively talk to people over and over again, chances are a lot higher that some of these people are going to be prompted to feel responsible and feel bad if they wouldn't do something, and as a result of that, give them some money. So very interesting, really, to have that. Obviously, there's a lot of other moral and socioeconomic factors involved in all of these thematics, including, right, like executions and such, which is obviously the other like end of that spectrum, which, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Humans do interesting things to actually be able to live with themselves after doing something immoral, or after not doing something that would be the moral choice in their like code of conduct or societal norms. Oftentimes, maybe the physical, like the psychological pain, the psychological stress that they experience as a result of doing something immoral or not doing something moral is even strong enough to create some kind of cognitive dissonance within them. And then there's a couple of solutions that could come out of this. One of the solutions, maybe the preferable solution, is of course that the person is starting to change themselves and develop in a way that has them more actively involved in moral conduct, right? And just like straighten up their own moral responsibility and the expectations they have of themselves. But there's also the other way, which is by having this conflict of interest, right? This cognitive dissonance of two different things existing. On the one hand, your own conscience and your moral code. On the other hand, like the actions you're taking that are against that moral code. You could try to lower that that dissonance and lower that bad feeling of guilt by making the moral actions that you are taking I don't know what to I don't know that word. I hope I'm gonna cut that out, because I mean it's not bad if I don't cut it out. I just don't like interrupting my flow of speech in most cases. Yeah, I mean, I guess I thought of the right term, I just didn't have it, like, I wasn't confident enough to actually use it. It's relativize, right? You would relativize and reduce maybe the meaning of the immoral or non-moral thing you're doing or you would try to find arguments that are in favor of the things you have actually been doing to make yourself believe that what you were doing is not actually in fact immoral, or is not like what you were doing is in line with the moral conduct that would exist in society. So for example, we're talking about stuff like climate change and personal responsibility, where it's very easy to say that the little things you are doing don't really matter because it's such a small percentage. It's such a drop of water on a hot stone, basically, that it wouldn't make a difference anyway, because all of these other people around and all of these other nations are doing so much to pollute the environment that you yourself doing things that would be good for the environment or would avoid pollution would not make any difference, because the other nations, the other people, they would just ramp up their behavior in contrast to that, and it would be the same outcome, basically. Which is a fallacy in a way, but it is one of those arguments where you're like trying to ease your own conscience in order to get rid of that cognitive dissonance, and the problem is it changes your behavior into a direction that is actually the opposite of what your moral code used to be. So it's kind of, you can go both ways, right? You can try to better yourself and improve on your behavior according to what moral standards you had, or you can try to change your standards in order to adapt to that, right? Either way, we do have that desire to change cognitive dissonances oftentimes, although they can exist within us if we're not aware of them or if we can ignore them very well. But we often, if we exist in a state where we're very aware that there's some cognitive dissonance going on, we do have that desire to change that and to kind of put that into order, and that can go both ways, which is a very interesting fact. But yeah, enough about that tangent here. Look at the people against the wall. Look at the line of soldiers. Well, we're going through it. Look at the people against the wall.
A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes.
They were standing.
They stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background.
Of course, the traces are gone. Maybe we can discern something out of just common history knowledge, right? The revolution. People, right, soldiers on the other side, and maybe either revolutionaries or soldiers that fought for the monarchy, basically, right? It's two opposing sides either way.
Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them.
Who were they?
Comrades, the forsaken, the wretched, who tried to rise against the horrors of the world.
So revolutionaries, probably. Okay, comrades. Look at the line of soldiers.
7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one?
Look at the person standing on the side.
The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air, the lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
Kim, who was who in this execution?
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution.
Yeah, it could have been. But Harry seems to tend to the revolutionaries being the one being executed. Maybe kind of a sign of his own bias, right? Because Harry is the one who's more leaning towards the revolutionary comrade side, right? At least that's what we're getting through a little bit.
Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces. It could even have been the employees of the failed R&D center down the coast, as their building was taken over by the revolutionaries.
Or maybe...
You mentioned coalition forces. Could it have been them against the wall? I don't know. I mean, they won in the end.
Yeah. It's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures.
Like dust in the wind, right? That's a Kansas song. Holy shit, just go across the planks, my dude. Oh, sheesh, this is a treasure chest. So much money and tear. What the hell is fallen people? That's a clothing thing, right? The small wireframing inside this futuristic looking fallen people had a head, okay. Gives it the aerodynamic shape of a swoop skier's helmet, but none of its protective qualities. Covers the wearer's ears and eyebrows to bring down the drag coefficient. Alright, that is, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. We do have the head, which is encyclopedia, and here we have +2 logic, which is incredibly cool because I don't know, we like logic-wise we would be in the stratosphere, right? 8. But we would lose 1 perception, and our perception is 6 on the standard, so if we... Right, exactly. I do like our perception where it is, to be honest. And logic-wise we're already doing good. The door is not only barred shut, it is inaccessible. And now we've taken the round trip. Can we go here? No. Can't. Let's get back here. Whoop. Alright. We can't go over here, so I'm going to try and go a little bit further out. Although we are kind of reaching the edges of all of that. Ooh. New person. Tiny cages, carefully constructed. Is that for like, I'm gonna say like shrimp? No, not really, but these soggy logs smell of ignition fluid. Still, they won't light up. Ooh, this is the cryptozoologist, isn't it? It's almost impossible to get a fire going near this near to the ocean. Yeah, it's so like
Here
wet.
we go. Nice and easy.
Yes.
No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
I didn't imagine you like this, my dude, but
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
what's going on, my fellow pseudoscientist?
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers.
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
What the fuck, crypto-fascist? Do I have to take out my hammer and sickle?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
You must be Moral, the cryptozoologist.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance.
So abrasive. Tisk tisk. You don't seem to be too happy to see the RCM.
Oh no, it's all right. I'm just busy. What's this about?
Yeah, your wife sent me. She's been really worried about you.
Hey, of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
The 881 is a raised motorway that separates Martinez from Jamrock. The labyrinth of streets underneath it makes it difficult to pass, not like walking over a nice water lock.
Yeah, that was me. I broke the water lock with my motor carriage, but it's fixed now. You can go back. No, I ain't gonna share that. The water lock's been fixed. It's been fine when I crossed it. We've told the whole story. Yes, we do.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
So what you're saying is he stinks.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Alright, dude.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
He refastens a bit of netting that has come loose in the wind. Tell me more about these traps. Lena seems pretty eager for you to return. How did you become a... Okay, tell me more about these traps.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Oh, she designed them, alright.
Yes.
He says with some pride. So, alright, so really nice that she's involved in all of this. How do the traps work?
Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
Interesting. What are you using as bait? Locust?
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
So not just plants.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to be delicious for the non-existing phasmid.
A meat-eating stick insect? Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely.
Thank you, Logic, but I think you're in the wrong place here. A carnivore stick insect seems unlikely. What will you do if these traps don't work?
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps to satiate your skepticism.
What will you do if these traps don't work?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
Oh yes, I'm pretty sure. This is the core of the failure, not that the things actually don't exist.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Of course Lena knows what she's doing. What are you implying here, narrator? That we thought she wasn't?
Yes. What?
How did you become a cryptozoologist?
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
So you're living your childhood dream out here.
It's not child's play. Just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
I didn't say it's child's play. I said you're living your childhood dreams. That's quite the difference, right? Something can be very... can have a lot of effort behind it and still be your childhood dream, right? A lot of people out there know what I'm talking about. Wait, why not just be a zoologist? Real that is fire, but I would maybe lock myself out of other options. Have you ever discovered a cryptid?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
So how many cryptids have been found?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemnee, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes.
I asked how many have been found.
2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
Okay, wait, so, but 2 have been proven real.
Yes. The Chateau Quan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere.
So, what you're saying is, we got like the cousin of the furtive pygmy, shout out to Dark Souls, and a salamander.
We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves. More so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that if you are looking for very rare species, the best chance you have are weird rumors about stuff that looks different. I mean, I've I've seen an interesting video recently on YouTube about that, like primate, like one ape that has been found in the rainforest that for the longest time people believed to be some kind of like specific different species, but it turned out in the end it was the species that was already known in the area. But it's very interesting, right, to just look for stuff that might have a grain of truth inside of it, as long as you are being very honest with yourself and you're like, okay, most of this shit is hoaxes, but at the very least, like, we have some hints to something that could be a new species. You never know, right? But like, obviously this is a very hard job to justify in our capitalist world where everything has to have some kind of profit to it, be that like a money profit, or at the very least like a knowledge / scientific profit that comes from it. And if like in your lifetime maybe you find one of these, the question is how many people are willing to actually finance your job, basically. 2 out of 4,000 is not even 1%. I don't even know what to say. That's a small number of discoveries.
Do you know what the success rate in pharmacological research is? 0.00003% of bioreactive agents have reproducibly beneficial effects. Yet science persists in the search for medicine, as we persist in our search for new species.
Yeah, but again, applicability, right? Like, first of all, I don't know if that number is real. But even assuming it is, we found thousands of, like, effective pharmacological products. Now, obviously, a lot of them have side effects, so there's that, right? But effective, in a sense. And then you do have the application, of course, right? Which is saving human lives or extending them, or like fighting symptoms of some kind of sickness or illness. So there's an application that can be sold, which I find very morbid, to be fair. Like, I think at least the base supply of pharmacological stuff should be 100% free, or at the very least cheap enough that everybody can afford it, right? I think it's not okay that we are privatizing and profiteering from people's lives being at stake, right? Or their quality of life being, like, their quality, like their chance to having a normal life is at stake. That is something very, very cruel, in my opinion, no matter where and how you look at it. But even if we go beyond money, if we would find a system in which pharmacological companies would be paid out of whatever, right? Like, and be like more or less a very social agency that just helps everybody, even then you do have the basic idea that what you're doing actually is useful beyond just gaining knowledge, which is cool, right? Like, you can find some weird species that is very untraceable and that has some abilities, right? Like camouflage or some weird way to move or to interact with the environment that can give you inspiration to create technology out of that. That's what biotechnological companies, that's what researchers in the field of biotech are doing, right? You have drones that look like whatchamacallem, right? Dragonflies, right? And all kinds of, like, even like early jet planes and whatever, they were inspired by birds, by how birds fly, right? There's a lot of innovation that can go into this, but there's obviously the scale at which it happens, and oftentimes you have to analyze, does it even make sense? Now, it's a passion, right? So in an ideal world where everybody has enough food and enough to drink and enough, like, security to actually exist and don't have to worry about surviving the next day or the next month, in this ideal world, it would be cool if everybody could just follow their own dreams and hobbies and projects where you can just kind of reach your full potential and do things that fulfill you creatively. It would be a really cool thing to exist in a world like this, but obviously we don't exist in a world like this yet, which is where this whole thing comes in, where it's like, okay, who is going to pay for it and why, right? What can you provide for the larger world that justifies you doing that? Or do you maybe have some kind of source of income or thing you're doing that's already being productive enough that you can spend the rest of your time with this? But yeah.
He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Yeah, he's a stubborn old bastard, but that's okay, right? He's not doing any harm, at least, right? I'm more sympathetic towards people like him who are just following their dreams and finding a way to get it financed than people who are doing actually malicious or bad stuff. Not because they, well, first maybe because they are malicious and bad and they are, like, they are smart enough or at the very least, like, manipulative enough to be able to convince other people that what they're doing is okay or good. Or people who are ignorant and are doing bad or malicious stuff because, like, out of some form of ignorance and belief that they're holding on to that doesn't have any scientific or logical basis, which is a lot worse than what he is doing here, which is like, yeah, maybe you're wasting your time, but at very least, right, you're human beings with dreams and you're doing something that you believe is productive and you're not harming anybody. Why not just be a zoologist? Real animals are puzzling too.
Real? I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does.
Honestly, being a cryptozoologist trumps most of the garbage I've seen people do. Yeah, I mean, true.
My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence.
Shoddy evidence.
And I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen.
And has anything truly surprising ever happened to you?
No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid, although I have come close. Close enough to keep trying.
Interesting how it differs from, like, the actual text. I have yet to catch a cryptid, if that's what you're getting at, but I've come close.
Interesting. Something for later. This close call.
This close call. What kinds of evidence do you use?
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us here, to look for the phasmid. I keep a very open mind.
I think you need to have that, right? Like in psychology, like in personality psychology, we have one variable, which is one of, like, the big 5 or also, like, the big 6 of the hexaco model of personality, where we do have openness to experience. Which is something that, like, you see a lot in people who are open to all kinds of people, don't immediately reject them, right? Like, there's a big desire to actually just welcome new experiences. And I do think, like, that open-mindedness plays into that, right? Like, that idea of, like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, when I get some information, I'm gonna take it in, I'm gonna stay open for it to a degree, I'm not immediately gonna swipe it away. And if I find evidence for something that, like, more evidence for these things, then maybe this slowly but steadily moves, like, makes its way into my core beliefs, right? Because I'm, like, more and more convinced that something is happening. That is an open-mindedness, but obviously there's a difference between, like, open-mindedness and wishful thinking, right? Or convincing yourself of something because you want it to be true. But yeah, I mean, we humans, we often convince ourselves of things because we want them to be real.
He's interested in things that people believe that scientists don't.
You think other scientists don't listen to ordinary people enough?
Most establishment scientists only care about reputation and remuneration, not real research, and certainly not the truth. They're a cowardly lot, and both the field and basement archives can be dangerous places.
I mean, I don't agree with him, but there's points that he's making that are true, right? Like, for example, that scientists care a lot about reputation, right? And about doing what's mainstream. You see that a lot in academics, where there's, like, at universities, there's certain fields of research that are in trend because they're either could be very profitable or because they are within the zeitgeist, basically, right? People are very focused and interested in that specific phenomenon right now. That's why we're researching it, because it's easier to find third-party investors that are actually supporting your research beyond the university money. And that helps universities, of course, because it helps universities finance themselves. So they are going for the mainstream topics, while other topics that might be very useful, might be very interesting, and might be very profitable in the long term for society as a whole are getting ignored or researched less, right? You are having a hard time to get your research for that funded and approved by the universities. So you're often going down like those mainstream lanes, and maybe either you have to do the research that really interests you that might not be mainstream on the side for yourself, right, out of your own pocket. Or you need to maybe found your own institute and actually get some like-minded people together and find a way to kind of finance or find somebody who finances that research. That's true. That part is definitely true. And there's also definitely a truth to big industries, sugar industry, fat industry, whatever, right? Like industries that are creating consumer products, or industry like the pharma industry, or industry like the oil industry, right? Like fossil fuels and whatnot. Them influencing what is getting researched by specifically funding research that could be useful for them, right? So you are maybe putting a lot of research into fossil fuels and their effectiveness, but not a lot of research into the negative effects of your technology. And like reversely, you're putting a lot of research into what is not effective about like your competition, right? Like renewables or whatever. And you're putting a lot of research into what's bad about them, but you're not putting a lot of research in what's actually good and productive about them and how you could improve them. I do feel like sometimes that's just like very short-sighted, because as somebody who's like a big fossil fuel guy, you could like a company, you could invest a lot into like the technologies of the future, and then you already have all of these funds and the money, and as such you could build up that, right, like and develop technology and patent it and whatever, and then you would have all of that future technology in your pocket, and you would have it patented partially, so you would already have like almost like a monopoly or whatever on it, while you're slowly phasing out the fossil fuels that are criticized more and more. And then you're basically set for the future, right? So you could actually future-proof it, but it's apparently like cheaper and safer to just put more money into research and like information campaigns in like talking down these things, right? These technologies that are inevitable, kind of. Because like these fossil fuels, even if there would not be massive like environmental destruction or whatever, at some point it's gonna run out. So like it's going down and down. It's getting more and more expensive and whatever, right? Like, so it would be wise to actually invest in all of that other shit, but you're not doing it because you're so focused on your one thing. It's almost like being stuck in the past, in my opinion, right? But yeah, enough about that. Like, there's a truth to that scientists are somewhat biased as well, right? Though not scientists as a whole, but specific groups of scientists, certainly. And that science is always driven by market economy, private interests, like interests of the country, right? Like, there's always somebody who funds that behind that, and obviously they're gonna fund stuff more that could be useful for them. Obviously. Right? But I don't think, like, there's, like, grand conspiracies or whatever, right? Like, reputation is an element in that, like, if you are doing mainstream research, you're gonna be cited a lot more by other scientists, and that is kind of like a measurement of your career variables, which influences your behavior in a way. I did my bachelor thesis on something similar, where I was looking at a certain initiative, like Open Science Badges, it was called, right? And that, like, it still exists. There's like some minor awards for transparent scientific practices, where it's like we had to look if this is actually effective. And for my own research, there's not a lot that came out of it. There was just like a certain amount of stuff that like my research had the result of, you can't really see an effect, but most probably because this whole thing was done in a way that doesn't really allow for proper effect. For one, like transparency practices around that time that they introduced these badges, right, these awards, transparency mandatory guidelines were increased a lot by by most reputable scientific journals, right? So there's like already something that is mandatory that is also being increased in terms of like what you have to do in transparency, like in terms of transparency standards. So there's like the comparison is close, like the effect of both is kind of intermingled, so it's hard to tell what comes from what. And the second thing is like obviously something like mandatory guidelines has an extreme effect on your career variables. So what like being able to publish an article is contingent on those mandatory guidelines, while the awards actually don't give you any benefits on your career level, especially since most of like the databases that lists your scientific achievements as in citations and whatnot doesn't list those awards. So there's like no way for an employer to be like, okay, I want to look how many like open science awards this person has, because they'd have to dig into every single article you published, instead of just seeing it in a database and being like, oh yeah, the scientist is not only cited a lot by other scientists, but also they have all of these awards that are listed here, which was not the case. And so like there's very little that you can, like there's very little effect of that in general, at least from what I can tell. It's only just like a nice little addition for somebody who's like, I'm doing most of this anyway, right? Most of this work, most of this time that goes into providing like transparent, like raw data that people can do studies with, right? So because the goal is to actually make prolific studies more repeatable, right? So because like repetitional studies are a big thing when it comes to science, because you do a study one time and have an effect, it could be coincidence, right? It could be like there's just a flimsy scientific framework of that. But if like hundreds of teams of scientists are doing the same study under the same conditions, the effect that they notice can be assumed to be a lot more secure within like scientific evidence. And that was like we had something, the repetition crisis. I'm kind of veering off on that, but there's like the problem that a lot of scientific studies that were conducted in very early ages of science, especially when it comes to the social sciences, did have very lax standards when it comes to making transparent what exactly the scientists did. So it became very hard to actually make a repeat study of that had the exact same conditions. So it's like, and oftentimes you'd find that a study that was repeated as good as proper as they could do it, right, with the data they had available, didn't get the same results. So there's like a disconnect between the results that initially were in the study and the study that was like a repetition study of that. So you're like, okay, which result is actually the real one, right? If you have studies that meticulously list down the details of what was done in which conditions, in which environment, and all of these things, and have the raw data available, you can not only just statistically recalculate the data and see that it was calculated correctly, but also do another study that is basically a one-to-one copy of that study and prove that it is actually an effect that exists in multiple populations and across the globe and whatnot, which is very important for science as a whole. But yeah, long tangents today, apparently, for whoever cares about that. But yeah, thanks for explaining that. Now about something else. Tell me about these phasmids you're looking for.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it.
I can see that. What makes it so difficult to find?
Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea.
Phantasmodea.
It disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there?
It looks around.
And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators or scientists in our present case.
What sort of specialized techniques is the phasmid using to hide itself?
It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defenses that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex.
So it's jamming our brains.
But I cannot describe how these defenses work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen.
And how would you study that live specimen if it impedes with your abilities? I do wonder.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this phasmid.
Oh, definitely Inland Empire.
Ghost insect, he said? These people are looking for a ghost.
So of course they're looking for a ghost. Let's look for ghosts with them. We're ghost hunters now. Ghostbusters. Ghost insect. So you're... I didn't even read that. I swear, I didn't read that.
No, that is precisely what we're not. We are zoological specialists, looking for an extant species of phasmid.
How big is this phasmid?
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So,
He leaves the conclusion up to you. So what you're telling me is like, we basically are looking for giant ant-like creatures that are disguising themselves like a praying mantis and jamming our brains in order to avoid detection. We're looking for solid snake. Yeah. Why are you so interested in this stick bug? I'm sorry, I can't. It doesn't seem to be as colorful as some of the other cryptids I've heard about.
typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for.
Ooh, pray tell.
Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of of any cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defenses, find out how it stayed hidden so long.
He shakes his head. Well, I share the fascination, right? It's incredible to discover something new and kind of take apart the mechanisms of it. That goes for psychology as well, right? To just see how incredible human development is, from like a small child until an 18 to 20-year-old grown adult. It's incredible how much information the brain can save, how many mechanisms on a psychological, metaphysical level, but also on a biological, neurological level exist, and how impeding certain functions within that brain can lead to very interesting results when it comes to functioning of human ability. Incredible. And how many people can actually exist with brain dysfunctions and exist very well by using compensation strategies, right? Subconsciously, and not even noticing that they have some kind of like dysfunction maybe. Right? Especially when you look at older people where this is more common, and you see like people don't necessarily notice that they had a stroke because the brain is incredibly adaptive when it comes to these things. And discovering new things about that is incredible. That's amazing. And I can share that passion for new discoveries and for like scientific gain.
Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts.
So no one's ever found one, huh?
Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
He holds up an index finger. Not yet.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real?
You don't. I mean, psychological concepts, hello? Can I prove the existence of personality factors? No. I can suggest, like every science, newsflash, every science is based on assumptions. There is no scientific theory or even the most fundamental evidence that we have on scientific facts when it comes to laws of nature are 100% proven. because there's always an assumption that is at the very base root of it that we can't prove, right? We have a very, very simple and very like underlying base assumption that we build our theories on, and what we can prove is the theoretic framework within this assumption, oftentimes. And I guess through like the accumulation of evidence, we can say with more and more likelihood that something is actually most probably true or mostly accurate to how it actually is in reality, how it works. But yeah, obviously nothing is 100% proven. Now that doesn't mean that science is bogus. Science is the closest we get to actually understanding the secrets of our universe. And that's a cool thing. But it is the way it is, right? And people need to realize that science isn't like a religious text that tells you this, that, and that is true, right? Even religious texts are very open for interpretation, but let's say like it's not like a handbook for something. It's just like, it's a never-ending quest for truth, because that truth exists somewhere out there, but it exists out of our grasp, and all we can do is like get as close as we can to that truth.
I know it's real.
The cryptozoologist says brusquely enough that even he seems to be taken aback by it. He knows it's real. Now that is not what we call a scientific fact. That is what we call a belief.
It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something more than the pure pursuit of scientific advancement.
And that can be the source of many errors, my friends. You need to stay adaptive and accept that something might not be real in the end, because if you deny the complete, like if you completely deny the possibility that something doesn't exist that you maybe believe could exist, most likely, then you're kind of compromising your own scientific progress, right? We might put down some assumptions, but if we see that this assumption keeps leading us to erroneous results, we need to maybe at some point question that assumption. And that is what a lot of scientists and mathematicians have done in the past. But since it's been hundreds, thousands of years since science in its form, like we know it, started, completely different back then, but you know, right? Science started way back when. And we've built building on it for centuries. Obviously, there is some assumptions that we assume to be true, that are not proven to be true, but that work with most of our models and theories that we build on top of them.
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition.
Now that is a better way to phrase it, because then you can still say, yeah, there's some basis that this is that it is, like, right, it's based on something, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact thing that I think it is. Lena said there has been a sighting of it here in Martinez.
Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically.
A hunch, basically.
It's the first credible sighting in several decades.
What makes it credible, though?
It's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore.
Okay. Maybe the Insulindian phasmid has died out?
I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After
Not necessarily.
all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis?
He means asexual reproduction.
Okay,
Females
sorry,
of
I
the
didn't.
species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small population to survive.
Wasn't it like frogs that can change gender or something and can, like, reproduce? A crime against passion and common sense. That's pretty clever.
Yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
Let's talk about specific cryptids.
All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what.
We would have to discuss. He wants to say, but decides against it. You need to ask him about specific cryptids. Cryptids you've heard about from Lena or
Where's
his
friend?
friend Gary. He won't just talk.
Which cryptid did you almost catch? You said before that you almost caught one. I know about the most dangerous cryptid, the Gnome of Garoma. Well, I don't. Do I? Just tell me about the cool cryptid. Enough tales then, let's change the subject. I mean, the way that it is named here, maybe we've heard about it?
Formerly the most dangerous, yes.
Okay.
But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid?
Living, no.
The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant, known colloquially as the Dread Moose.
The Dread Moose, that sounds positively Lovecraftian. Get out of here.
No, but we're not get out of anywhere. The Dread Moose is a widely reported cryptid from Arda. It subsists entirely on flesh, and has even been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance.
What, are we talking about ghouls now? Hold on. Does it also attack people?
Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will.
Yeah, inference is all I can get from that. Okay, what does the Dread Moose look like?
Just like an ordinary Arden moose.
And how can you tell if it's the ordinary or dread kind?
You can't. That's what makes it so dreadful and hard to identify.
Alrighty then. So it's just like a mentally ill moose.
A moose that looks like any other moose. What's going on here? He's kidding, right?
I'm 100% behind the Dread Moose. I utterly believe it
Of course
exists.
you do.
Shut the fuck up, Kim.
The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more. Sightings in Vasa, reaching back 4 centuries. But, of course, nothing satiates the skepticism of.
A detective. Pardon me, I did not wish to seek conflict. It's simply my training to question things.
Understood, Lieutenant.
Man tips his head slightly and then looks at you. Which cryptid did you almost catch?
A willow person. It's a long story. One non-specialist would find rather dull.
A willow person? What the hell?
Willow people? Not at all.
What are willow people?
They're not people, really. Some argue they aren't really animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees.
Tree people? Okay. He says it in a self-explanatory, everyday, cadence?
They're very, very
Manner.
thin, almost flat in fact, and can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with the tree bark. In that way, they're not too dissimilar from the phasmid we're looking for here.
I'm starting to recognize a pattern. Wait, so I may have seen these willow people without knowing it?
You probably have.
How did you almost catch one?
Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow-drying paint. It was a bright lavender colour. I was hoping one of the willow people would get paint on it and not be able to camouflage itself.
Okay.
After waiting in hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees, a lavender shadow, dashing through the grove.
Did you have anything to drink in that day?
I chased it with a net. Not very elegant. You can't be elegant in the field. And, well, it was faster than me.
A lavender shadow.
I know you think we were snacking on funny mushrooms.
The thought crossed my mind.
And to admit that the world might be more interesting than you've imagined. Furthermore, I'm not saying it was a confirmed sighting. I'm painfully aware of what goes into verifying such things. There is a serious possibility that I saw a squirrel or a trick of the light. I am my own harshest critic.
Are you now?
He makes it a real point here to sound falsifiable.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to, otherwise people are like, this dude is a lunatic. I'll talk to you later, man. Enough tales then, let's change the subject.
By all means.
Elena seems to be pretty eager for you to return. Holy shit, dude. You might want to look at that.
And and I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps.
Alright, man. I mean, I told you.
My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
He looks south where Lena would be.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
This dude is like, I'm sick of this shit.
Leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Won't let Lena down? Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the Phasmid somehow.
Didn't know the Phasmid was so important to Lena.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it.
Ooh.
A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
Okay. I mean, not gonna lie, I actually do like Lena. So, I do have the psychological effect of like being like, okay, if she's seen it, maybe there's some truth to it. But obviously, you could have seen anything.
She's seen it?
Really? She sighted the Phasmid? She didn't tell me that.
Yes, that's how we first came to know one another, in fact.
Even more
But
significance.
that's her story to tell, not mine.
He coughs and then continues.
Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious Phasmid.
You're right, Inland Empire.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian Phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Another cough into his fist this time. Does he have a real issue? Maybe he could go back to the whirling, warm up, and come back to check the traps later.
No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the Phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this.
Can't we, like, do a rotation shift or something?
I could go for some trap setting.
What if we check the traps for you?
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
Said you with obvious surprise. Cryptozoology and detective work are similar. Chaos is my method. I am its scion. I love that. I'm all in with this cryptic shit. I'm hooked. No, chaos is my method.
Well, be that as it may, I'd really appreciate the help.
What do I do if there's a Phasmid in one of the traps?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
Alright, man.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself.
Alright. I mean, I ain't gonna snag your glory, don't worry. What if I encounter the Phasmid in the wild?
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed.
Oh god, there's gonna be some bugs that are gonna be on me, right?
It's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Will last you about a week.
Oh no, we're gonna get a debuff for it. I don't want this, thank you very much. No. Oh, alright, you know what? I stink bad enough. Lay it on me.
Wise choice.
I'm gonna get some, like, debuff from this, I
How can
just
obtain
know.
this? He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Looks at the lieutenant with disdain and puts the spray back in his pocket. Where are these
There are
traps?
4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's
Okay.
very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church.
We want to go there anyway, so...
The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them,
He gestures to the trap in front of him.
You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
Ah, I
That
got
seems
you.
like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture?
Kim, shh. The pursuit of knowledge is its own justification.
Is it?
He doesn't look too convinced, but the small shrug indicates why not.
If you think it's important, you have been right before.
Yeah, let's go.
Right. Which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Whatever he thinks about this detour, it's clear that these men are exhausted and in need of assistance.
That's what I'm thinking too, actually.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it.
What about his eager-to-leave friend Gary there? Talk to him too, perhaps.
That was my idea. Alright, Gary. Let's talk to you.
Hello, I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer. Yellow man.
Yeah.
I mean, officer.
I'm sorry, what?
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook.
He writes one word onto his notebook. Racist.
Yellow man. Interesting. This is something to ask him about, after a little probing first.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization.
Not a lover of the great outdoors?
I like nature, just not this bloody coast.
I mean, I can
It's
feel
mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
Degenerates. This man respects authority too much. To see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art a paragon of virtue.
Alright, I am neither of those things, I can assure you. I am by the books clean as a whistle officer of the law. I'm not even tempted to touch intoxicants. Degenerates. I've been trained to identify the slightest hint of degeneracy by the preeminent authority on it. Drunks and degenerates. That's my crew, of course. Sadly, I think I might be a drunk or a degenerate, maybe even both. Nobody's perfect. I'm sure you've been tempted to drink. No. I'm neither of those things, I can assure you.
I've been tempted on occasion, but someone has to stay strong for Revacol.
Revacol, okay. His gaze shifts to the pile of soggy logs at his feet.
He pronounces Revacol with a hard K, unlike other people.
You said Revacol, like alcohol. No, just, do you know anything about the man hanged behind the whirling rings? Is this your mug? Yellow man mug. Oh god, yes, it's a yellow man mug. I forgot that. You said Revacol?
I like to pronounce it the hard way.
The old
old
way,
way.
okay. God, he's
The
a conservative.
Vespertine way.
And not solemnly.
He winks at you, trying to relay some hidden message, inviting you to mispronounce it too, perhaps. It's odd. It's a secret rite. A very fringe nationalist handshake, probably.
Ooh, okay. Are you a cryptozoologist too?
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. But I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
After all this
See
time
that.
with Morel, he must have an opinion on cryptids. This could lead to a good one.
Fascinating. I'm into cryptids. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, yes, the burning rhino. Morel doubts he's real, but I don't much care, because I won't be the one looking for him out in Safra Serai.
What's a burning rhino?
A rhinoceros that looks ordinary during the day, but burns brightly by night. Well, at least the males do.
Why do they burn?
They have special ducts just above their shoulder blades that secrete a combustible fluid.
Okay, they just
When
literally
the rhino
burn.
is just beginning to light itself, it looks as though it has wings of fire.
But
Uh-huh.
how is this combustible fluid lit?
Does the lighting of this fluid really work?
The rhino starts running very fast to build heat, then stops, raises its head, and sparks fly from its neck, setting its back ablaze.
I want to be just like that rhino, running through the night with guns blazing. Alright, you know what?
We don't really do that around here.
Kim, why do you always cramp my style?
Perhaps we should have more such decisive action in Revacom. You know, this city used to be a flaming rhino once. A long time ago.
All of these weird comments, my dude. Why only the
The
males?
flames are not just for decoration. They are an integral
course they
part
are.
of the beast's mating behavior.
How so?
During the burning rhino's mating season, herds of male rhinos, all aflame, encircle herds of female rhinos, forming a fiery ring as they begin to copulate loudly. Local peasants call it the passion ring. They fear the rhinos, as perhaps they should. Anyway.
Lots to unpack there, dude, but I don't want to unpack it.
The lieutenant sighs without looking up from his notes.
Bro's like, how long am I gonna have to listen to this shit?
It's clear the burning rhino is dear to him on many levels. Some even spiritual.
I feel that's a spirit animal. You were surprised to see my colleague. Is this your mug? You know anything about the man hanged behind the whirling in rags?
Oh, so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about. Great. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that.
So you do know something about it?
No. Nothing. He was
corrects his
some kind
style.
of mercenary. But everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it. That's all.
He
Alright.
didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on
There
here.
is. Okay, interesting. Is this your mug? Hold up the yellow man mug.
My mug? Why would you think that?
Ooh, that's hard to say. You said yellow man, that's not something many people go around saying. It seemed as if you were calling it to it longingly when you cried. So, here's the thing, right? If I say that, it's accusatory, right? It's like, well, not a lot of people say that anymore. You're kind of one of them weird dudes who's like racist and whatnot. Then we have this one where it's like, I'm completely ignorant to what it even means, which suggests to him that I might be somebody who he's not connecting to. This might be the most unassuming one. I can see you recognize it in your eyes. I see it in your eyes, or it's in your eyes. That might be the most unassuming, but it also might be the least effective. I don't know.
I may have had a similar looking mug in the past. That's all.
Right, I believe you. You look like the kind of man who knows it's a crime to lie to an officer.
Okay.
Yes.
I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container behind the hostel. I know I shouldn't have, and I am very sorry, officer.
Alright.
You're not going to find me, are you?
I am rip out a fine slip for 20 real. I am rip out a fine slip for 100 real. 250 real. Now, Gary, I just want information.
Whew. Thank you. You won't regret this. I won't use another man's property to dump my garbage ever again. I don't know what got into me, really. Work has been stressful lately. Damn Koiko's price dumping us out of competition.
Alright. Casual racism again.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out the law.
Gary, did you put the gloves of a murder victim? No, that's not good. How did you get into the trash
I
container?
know a guy who works with the trash collection services. CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers of Martinez,
Why do you need to get into everyone's trash?
so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Hemians run it like a mob.
Right, dude.
I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself.
Disgraced?
What a weird
No
dude.
need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Hey, did you put the clothes of a murder victim, the man who was hanged behind the whirling in rags, into the trash container?
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that.
Please, do explain.
I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. People are animals, you know?
Okay, then what happened?
Then I came out to clean up the rags because no one else would. I put them into the whirling's trash, along with a broken mug, admittedly.
He changes his mind mid-sentence.
Okay. I was coming to throw the mug away, and, well, I threw the mug there and the clothes too.
Alright.
Right. It was just civic duty.
The lieutenant's remarks drolly.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Civic duty.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before. But where?
He shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks like a clinking of glass beads against one another. Is that like part of the armor? You wouldn't know anything about the victim's missing armor, would you?
Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor, but I don't know anything about it.
Sure.
An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit more wrongdoing.
What's that strange sound?
What sound?
That clicking I just heard when you moved. Don't mess with me, I think you know what I'm talking about.
I haven't the slightest. There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though.
The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned.
What sound? Really?
He fans his arms out slowly, and this time his motions are soundless.
There's lots of weird stuff out here in the...
The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned.
I'll get you yet, my dude.
I hope I could help your investigation, in my small way.
Why is he shifting around like that? Analyze Gary's composure. No! How much... Okay, we have the clicking sound, so maybe... Thank you for your cooperation. Maybe. I doubt we can dress up to get enough composure to actually help, but... Maybe. Doesn't look good. And one composure on that. Yeah, I don't think we have enough composure for any of that, even like if we did it right now. I mean, I can check.
Always I mean, officers.
21. Also, don't you slight my friend Kim, okay? You better watch out, my dude. I mean, we don't have a lot of composure. We could put a point into composure, to be fair. Right? Like, we can try it now, and then we can immediately put a point into composure. We still have, like, a couple of available skill points, right? I think we have, like... Do we have 4? I don't know if we have 4. I don't know. So, we're gonna save.
Always I mean, officers.
And we're gonna try our luck.
Is he? He's looking comfortable enough. Maybe it was just beads. Sounded like beads. But what kind of beads might a man like Gary be hiding beneath his clothes?
No, he's not having anal beads. He's not trying to cheat in chess. Gary, are you cross-dressing? Are these prayer beads I keep hearing?
I don't pray, officer. Faith in non-existent helpers is a sign of weakness. Not for proper Revocolian men such as ourselves.
We're surprised to see my colleague, Lieutenant Kitsuragi.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sail. I meant no offense, truly.
Do you remember how, when we met Measurehead and I said the next races will be a really good one?
I think so. Sorry, as you know, I've been having problems with my memory. Yes.
Well, this is that racist.
Yes, our lucky racist. Will you grant us 3 wishes, Gary? Are you Gary? Are you a racist? I don't know. I like the previous racist better. He's nothing compared to Measurehead. Yes, our lucky racist.
Hey, man. All I meant was there are not many Sealites around here. I'm just stating a fact.
The lieutenant's native Ravishel. Yes, what are they doing in Seal of their scheming?
Oh, yes. Of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. Let's change the subject, okay?
Okay, it didn't kill my chances on composure. I don't need to talk to you anymore, Mr. Racist. I'm gonna level up composure by 1. And technically we can retry it, but I'm not gonna retry it immediately.
Officers.
Interesting. We have composure 4, but only 28% still. Interesting. Maybe we'll find more stuff, right? We gotta find this guy's check, and we're gonna find it at some point, right? Like, I don't care much about that. Okay. Seems we're gonna stay a little bit on this island, or this, like, coastline. Bullet holes in the blockades. Can't go there. There's, like, definitely something to do over here. I'm gonna check this out before I do the rest of this. Ooh, there's something here. I don't know if I already... No, I didn't. We're gonna go up here. Like, it's very interesting to... Don't worry, Mikhail, you'll learn all about it. Okay, interesting. Bars cover these long dusty windows. Okay, get something here, which is some kind of doodad. Go along this. We can quick travel to the church. Okay, cool. Where exactly is that church? Is it on the right side or somewhere else? A dead phone, smash receiver, like someone hung up too hard. Someone must have worked hard to smash the plastic dome.
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone, unless you're out of change.
Pick up the headset.
You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable.
Alright. Dial a random number.
Calling. Still calling. This feels wrong. Should you be doing this?
Is this my wife?
End of tone. Someone picks up.
Pierre? Is that you, Pierre?
The voice is female and sounds about 100 years old. No, this is not Pierre.
Do you have any news about Pierre?
Who is Pierre?
He's my sister's grandson. He used to visit me as a lad. Fine young man.
Alright, how do we call a random number here?
But who are you then? A salesman of some sort? Modern goods are rubbish, and I can't afford them anyhow. It's a shame what you did to our country.
Me, yes, of course. The woman moans and the phone lines howl in unison with her. I'm not a salesman, I was just calling a random number and you somehow ran with it. Yes, I'm a salesman. What exactly did we do to your country? I don't know who I am, but who are you?
I was a baroness.
Okay.
Pause. There is silence on the other end.
You won't get me, and you won't get my money.
Oof, I think she's gonna hang up.
Phone hanging up. Disconnect tone.
Alright, you know what? Good to know we can call random people. Totally not gonna prank people with that. Alright, we're gonna check if there's something over here. I think that might be the church. Feel the shadow of a very large building fall on you. A kick drum pulls the music coming from somewhere on the ice. Ooh, somebody's partying. Saint Brune. Dusty views in the shadow. Many seem to be missing. An altar shrouded in dark or something like that. It's too dark to tell. Oh, there's something here too. Ooh, and some change. See, we made more than our money back just now. It's always good. If there's like just a couple of cents to pay, just do it. Full of holes. Could the post tight. Treasure? Look inside. Probably gonna get stung by something. Ooh, no, we have potent pilsner. Okay, maybe we can, like, we can give somebody that. There's a lot of posts. Okay, okay. I'll take the money, thank you. Holy. Okay. Treasure hunt! Let's go. Nothing here. Okay. For you, a drawbridge. It can only be lowered from the other side. Alright. A school of fish huddle around the fence post and scatter into the dark. I mean, hey. Can't go over there. Shame. I'm sure we can get there somehow. Let me see if I can go past these posts and... Ooh. Am I getting to the other side that way? It must have taken a lot of patience to do this. Painted with pastel, someone is trying to bring cheer into the world. I'll talk to you in a bit. More tribalistic markings. This post is covered in little humanoids. Hole screwed into the ice keeps the tent erect. Trash from some unending party.
A pane of eternite has been planted into the snow. 2 poles are holding it up. Barely holding it up. It could fall over any minute. A stronger gust of wind might be enough.
What is this?
It looks like a makeshift bridge. Could be convenient.
I'm gonna push it over after I've talked to this dude. Not that he's like, you pushed over a bridge, what are you doing? This is someone's home away from home, just like yours. Alright, so we go in and it's like Harry Potter.
Tent is just tarpaulin fabric covering a pile of stuff.
Okay.
The flap is open. Inside, 3 young men are listening to some new form of music. It's like nothing you've ever heard. One of them looks at you.
Come on, get in and close the flap behind you. The warm stuff's getting out.
Squeeze in,
Sorry,
let's go.
We barely have room for one.
You go ahead. I'm too old for this.
I'm actually not, he thinks. I just dislike delinquents.
Alright, Kim, let me smoke some weed.
I'm sure you will feel right at home. I'll keep watch.
He gestures for you to squeeze in. Smells like sweat and laundry detergent, plus a trace of ether. Canisters filled with what appears to be water. The label says distilled. A speaker, the big kind they use for live music. A pile of nasal sprays, brand name Nosophet Ultra. Dude, they're just vibing here. Holy shit. Okay.
You see a youngish man bleaching the tips
Andre.
of his hair with a toothbrush. He puts the toothbrush down and extends his hand in greeting.
This is punk, holy shit. I found the cyberpunk section of Disco Elysium.
Hello, I'm Andre. It's a pleasure to meet you.
He's nice.
There is definitely something futuristic about his hair. Aggressively so.
A lot of
You
gel.
get the sense that this is what the future will look like.
Oh, yes.
Imbecilic. Yes, should the future ever come, it will look deeply imbecilic, like this guy.
Shake his hand.
His grip is strong, sweaty, and warm. He's trying to project and inspire confidence.
This is my posse, Noid.
Noid?
The young man with earrings looks at you suspiciously.
Oh, yes, this is so punk.
And Egghead.
Egghead. Okay.
Egg!
He yells. The tape player high above his head continues to blast strange music. What the fuck is this portrait? Holy shit. I love it.
Together with a Settle Burger, who's out there right now, doing some seriously progressive sonic experimentation, we like to think of ourselves as music venue organisers.
Music artists. Wait, how many music venues have you organized?
We have many in the pipeline, officer.
Alright, so none. Why are you
You
here?
see, we've been all over Jamrock North, prospecting for real estate to establish a new venue in.
Also for talent.
Yeah, thank you, Egghead. And while there is no shortage of raw, unfettered talent spinning tapes in Jamrock, we've had rotten luck with the real estate part.
Okay.
Place is a shithole.
Yeah, it is.
I apologise for my friend Noid's potty mouth. I realise this is not how you speak to a police officer. He has authority issues.
Bro's so overly polite. Okay. There's no need. The place is pretty bad. Next time, watch yourself. Was there something you wanted? No, there's no need. The place is pretty bad.
Which brings me to the problem of occupied ecclesiastical property.
Alright.
I bet you've noticed the derelict hive of narcomania on the coast.
I have no idea what you just said, but okay. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the church. And I'm not exaggerating. Even a place of spiritual refuge can become a magnet for all sorts of dopeheads and burnouts if left unattended.
Oh, so and you want to take it over?
Dopeheads. Burnouts.
He angrily spits on a screw, then starts cleaning it.
Well, I'm sad to say, that's exactly what happened. Sad because we were just about to put Martinez on the map with one of the maddest dance clubs in Jamrock. Nah, strike that. In Revachol.
In Revachol.
Strike that! The world!
And sadder yet,
He sounds German.
The dopeheads and burnouts holed up in there were the worst kind.
Okay, so there is somebody hold up.
He leans back a little, watching you with a steady, serious gaze, letting you imagine just how bad those dopeheads and burnouts really are.
Alright. So either he has malicious intent and is trying to run somebody out of a place of shelter, or it's actually as bad as he says and some people are just occupying the space. But then the question is, why are they occupying the space, right?
Good. This calls for an opinion. You're an expert in those.
I won't stand for narcomaniacs of any kind. No narcomaniacs on my watch. Shake your head gravely. What kind?
The spooky kind.
What exactly do you mean by spooky?
I was hoping you would be the judge of that, officer. All I can say is, their spookiness is the kind that keeps us from restoring this church into a community centre and a place of spiritual refuge.
I'm smelling some bullshit here, but okay,
Also,
I'll bite.
they don't eat or clean the building. Shit's gonna collapse. People just wanna spin tapes without them spooking it up. Place has bad signs. No one can dance like that.
Thank you, Egghead. So you're gonna look into it, right? It should be a police matter. Getting them out. Whatever spooky stuff they're doing, I'm sure it's not what the Ecclesiastes meant their property for.
Alright, first of all, I'm not gonna run anybody out, but I'm gonna take the task anyway and talk to them. I'll make up my mind later. I have questions for you first. Police have more important things to do right now, kid. I'll look into it. Tell me more.
All right, man.
He claps his hand enthusiastically. What's the status of the church? I haven't gotten inside the building yet.
I asked Noid to install a measure against more drifters wandering in. A padlock. It's a temporary fix. Just something to contain the situation.
Alright.
I had to do it in an hurry. Not my best work, but it should hold for a while.
How long? No. What about the key?
Of course. Noid, give the officer the key.
Only if he promises to look into the spookers in the church.
Looks at you gravely.
Officer, I apologise. Noid doesn't always understand the joy of giving for the sake of giving. I think it may have something to do with his childhood.
Damn it. Take it. Don't you just want to see what's in there?
Okay, just give me the key.
Brilliant! Noid, the key!
Alright.
The speed freak dips into his belt pack, produces a yellow key, and then makes a sudden cool infused move, tossing it in your general direction. Medium. Be cool. Cobb. Okay, catch the key as it flies towards you. We're gonna try.
It's as if time
Damn.
is frozen somehow. You think you can sense the key moving in the air. Yeah, this is going to be way cool.
Don't ruin the cool by overdoing it. Raise your hand in front of your face with minimum effort.
Blam! Straight in the eye. Straight in the old eye orb.
Ooh.
In the looking ball.
Actually into the eye, that
A
is...
stabbing pain. Tears stream uncontrollably from your right eye.
Ouch. Goddamn asshole, what's wrong with you? Can't you see I'm in pain now?
I'm super sorry. That was totally my bad. I got overexcited. Threw him too hard. I'm sorry.
He looks like he's genuinely sorry. He didn't throw them better.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Bend your face in mockery on this useless contrition. You almost eye murdered me, a cop. That's use of lethal
I
force.
really am sorry, man. Take this, okay?
Pulls out some black paper from his belt
Wow,
pack.
looks like there's quite a lot there.
That's the least you could do. Take the money. I don't need your pity money. No, where were we? Corrupt cop
I
wins.
hope that settles it. Or wait, the key?
He is shifting in his spot, uncomfortably, still feeling sorry for the mishap.
We were talking about the padlock, I think.
How long have those people been locked in there?
Not long. Like a week, maybe?
Holy shit, they locked people in there a week? They could have, like, did they have water? How can you be sure they haven't starved to death?
I'm super sure they're alive. I mean, come on. I'm at least 90%, maybe 85% sure they're still alive.
Somewhere in the ruinous past that led you here, there was something called exams. You may have learned the term involuntary manslaughter there.
Oh yes, definitely. Andre, do you know what involuntary manslaughter means? 85% is not good enough when you're dealing with another person's physical well-being.
Yes, I do. I listen to Channel 8 all the time. I know about crime stuff, and I assure you, officer, this is not what's happening here. I'm at least 80% sure they're alive. I mean, come on. Most people aren't ever that alive in their entire lives.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. What does anything mean, really?
Oh, yeah.
He looks at his friend with an expression of profound understanding. Sounds like nonsense.
You're right. It is nonsense. Total garbage. I knew you'd see through it. You're one smart cop.
I get by now. Where was I with that
He
padlock?
nods attentively, ready to answer the questions.
Right,
of
other
one
questions.
smart cop.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Sure, man. Tell us what you want to know. Let's do it.
Who exactly are these people?
Truth is, I don't really know. None of us do. I don't even know how many there are. All we've seen are glimpses.
You haven't even seen them and you want to get the police involved?
Well, there's also the machinery.
This machinery is of the deeply mystical variety.
Mystical.
When I first scouted the place, back in February, it was abandoned, empty. Took some time getting the crew together. So about 2 weeks ago, we came here hoping to set the stuff up. Suddenly, there are all these strange machines lying around in there.
Are these like workers or something? What the
One
hell?
of them has wires running into bowls of water. Wires into water. Never seen anything like it.
Andre, tell him about the feeling.
Oh, and it felt like there was something in there with us, watching us from the dark.
No, the other one.
Which other one? I'm not as in tune with my emotions as you are, Egg.
Okay, what am I listening to?
Felt like silence. Awful silence.
But you haven't physically seen anyone.
Not exactly. We've just seen someone who we think is a woman go in and out of the church. A couple of times. And we felt someone, or something, eyeing us inside. But that's kinda it.
Could be an animal, my dude. What was that about something watching you?
Like, you aren't alone, you know?
It wasn't quite human, if you know what I mean.
You are all on too many drugs.
Not human, as in a ghost. Do you know what he means?
It was this dark shape climbing upside down along the ceiling, like some kind of crab man. Yeah, you know, the way it was climbing up and around the ceiling, like a crab.
It was stalking a cell, exhibiting ambush behaviour.
Uh-huh.
Odd. Crabs are usually marine creatures, and not known for climbing walls.
Are you... Ambush behavior, not Crabman.
Crab man!
Yeah, totally. I mean, I didn't personally see it. Estelle was alone that time. But I believe her. If she comes out running and says there's a crab in there, there's a crab in there.
So he hasn't even been in there lately. Is he afraid?
You should ask her about it, but be nice. Don't tell her you don't believe in the crab.
There probably is no crab man. Don't let them draw you in with this nonsense.
I got you, Logic, don't worry. Can you tell me more about this machinery?
You should talk to Noid about that. I just got a distinct burnout and dopehead sign from them. Probably jacked up to some snuff station too. Probably, very likely.
So how can you be sure they're burnouts and dope heads if you haven't even seen them?
Well, honestly, I can't. But I am.
This is a below feeble attempt at avoidance. Basically, he is attempting to weaponize idiocy.
Wow, you can, but you do. I should add weaponized idiocy to my own repertoire.
Hey now, I'm 70% sure they're substance abusers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let all that technology...
We're just going down with the
Where
percentage.
do you think the drugs come from?
Don't let all the technology fool you. He makes little quotation marks with his fingers when he says technology. Where do you think drugs come from? They're being manufactured. chemically. Alright, let's talk about something
Sure.
else.
What?
You mentioned some kind of ecclesiates own the church. Who are these ecclesiates?
Oh yeah, that's a meteor and name for the founding party. Thought it'd be cool to use it.
If you don't know what the founding party is, there might be a way to mask it with minor demagoguery.
Mask it. Now humor me, Andre. What is the founding party? Don't mask it.
Come to think of it, I've never really looked them up, you know? I can't give you a precise definition, but they're a very powerful religious organisation.
And
they have roots in ancient mass society. And they're the custodians of the Pericarnassian Church. Plus, they anoint the innocents. They, like, made the Innocentic system. No?
Now, Andre, in your opinion, would this ancient religious organization who anoints the innocents want a dance club in on one of their churches?
Totally.
There's a trace of doubt in his voice.
Pericarnassian Church is about love. And Nordic music is about love. I got love for my Pericarnassian posse. Love is the relay out of death. We dance!
He violently shakes the tape player as if to see if he can break it. Yeah, alright. Ecstasy. It's called ecstasy.
Love is hardcore!
Unity!
Unity!
Make some noise for my Insulindian posse!
He turns the volume up, then looks at you with a knowing nod as if it's obvious you will now break into dance. I guess love can be pretty hardcore.
Oh yeah, it can!
He's coming around. You're getting it.
He nods at his friend and turns to you with a mischievous grin. I now understand it was lame of me to suggest otherwise. Nordic music is about love, and so is the Pericarnassian Church. No, this is too much. No sane organization would want this level of absurdity in their church. I'll keep playing along, like this is my go-to.
Yeah! Yakokata! The place to be!
He seems ecstatic that you share his vision of Pericarnassianism.
Do it for the masses. Do it for the crew.
Oh god.
I didn't want to say it, but it was pretty lame of you to imply otherwise. Anyway, you got more questions?
The one with the large head is still looking at you, nodding his head, waiting for your body to start moving.
Oh no, do I have to
Feel like
dance?
you could go for a little disco when, or if they get this club going. You've got it in you.
I wanted to ask you about the tent full of equipment.
Yes. What?
I see you brought your own water.
Yeah. Good to have, bitch to carry. When I first scouted the place, I did some reconnaissance. I'm not sure the church even has running water.
Oh god, only said people in there perched in without running water. And it's distilled too.
Oh,
He doesn't know what to say.
it's the one they sell at the fuel station.
Yeah, distilled water. You're drinking distilled water. It could kill you, my
It's
dude.
like he's lying to you, my liege. But he's slippery enough that there's nothing for you to grab hold of.
Oh, so he knows what distilled water is. What's with all the nose of it?
The what now?
He leans in to hear you better. Point at the bottles of nasal spray in the corner.
Oh, the old Ultra. We...
He's like an actor, looking to the souffleur for his line.
Uh-huh.
I have a major sinus infection. Stuffy nose. We all do. Shit's all blasted up. Winter. Can't even breathe.
You sound fine to me.
Yes, that's all Nosafed's doing. Without the Noser, I'd be drowning in shit right now.
Uh-huh.
Nosafed is the shit.
Good, no. Can I have some? I have some nose problems too.
Sure. Here you go, officer.
Let's go.
Noser. Blast away.
Hate to tell you, but it reeks of sweat in here.
Does, doesn't it?
Told you we have a smell problem.
Picks up a piece of telephone cord and inspects it. Wait, I also smell ether. Why? It's mixed with peculiar chemicals and like laundry detergent.
Ether? I don't smell ether. Do you, Noid?
No.
Mixed with peculiar chemicals and like laundry
He
detergent.
sniffs the air. It doesn't take a forensic scientist to guess it's drug.
Yeah, of course it
related.
is. They're
They
producing
look and
drugs.
act like the kind of guys who've done their fair share. However, their breathing is regular. Their jaws stay
Yeah, they're
open,
producing
their
drugs.
pupils aren't dilated. So at least not under the influence of stimulants. That doesn't rule out
okay.
hallucinogens, benzos, some depressants. How do you know all this?
Alright, enough of this.
He nods enthusiastically, no doubt a little relieved.
Okay, maybe everything isn't quite as you've been told. Take a moment to analyze. I mean, we still need godly for that, so... is this a white check? Okay, we might do a white check here.
Well, first of all, you're a smart cop, and a smart cop like you would understand if something wasn't quite right.
Rub
So
your
this
chin.
should be easy.
What's the gist of
The
it?
gist of it is, they want to turn the church into a club, but a suspicious element has overtaken the building. It's very important to understand what the gist of things is. Always consult the gist before making up your mind. This is going well.
Oh yes, it's going swellingly.
Plus, and it has to be considered, you can't invent the future of dance music in this smelly old tent. Imagine if you had the church. That settles it. Analysis complete. Their story checks out.
Uh-huh.
Always, we'll be right here, waiting patiently for the news. Yeah!
And tell us how it goes, yeah? We'll be here. Alright. Ooh,
The
Krasma.
suicide of Kraz Mazov.
Oh, we developed this thought, I guess.
It's clearly a lie. Kraz Mazov didn't shoot himself. Reaction was on the counteroffensive. The State Day Palace in Mirova was surrounded. He was either assassinated or died in the bombing. You might even have evidence to support this somewhere in your brain.
It's not
Mazov
accessible.
was never given a state funeral by the communists. Some people even say the body that was recovered from the ruins wasn't his. There, good. Hero restored to glory. Carry on, comrade.
Alright. We would need to unlock a new one, right? To internalize. I'm not like too keen on the modes of taxation. We don't need to develop that right now. But also, holy fuck it. We've been in this tent for way too long. Let's talk to this dude.
A shaggy-looking girl.
Oh,
in
girl.
her late teens or early 20s kneels on the ice with an electronic contraption in her hand. Hearing you approach, she looks up.
Oh, hello there.
Way different tone.
She must be Estelle, the last of the speed freaks, posse. It's cold out here, but she's not wearing a hat. She must be freezing.
You child, it's freezing. Where's your head?
Huh?
Maybe she didn't hear you. A little louder.
Said you should have a head on.
So should you.
I mean, I have a head on, just not the warm kind. I don't have to do anything. I'm the law. You have to... No. I should, and I do. Point at your head.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Nice, you should wear one too, if you plan on staying outside in this weather. Now that's all cleared up, I have some questions for you.
Yeah, well...
Just to
look,
think
man,
of something.
Fuck the hat.
Authority, regain her authority in her eyes. No. What kind of language really
I'm
necessary?
sorry I said fuck the hat. I was concentrating on something else.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family swears and it rubbed off on me.
It's a pained expression on her face. She'll answer your questions now. You just told me you went inside the church. What did you see there?
Oh, that. You're not going to believe me. There's no point in me telling you.
She's less prone to blurt it out, crab man, than the others.
We'll see. Go ahead and tell me.
Okay. I went in and I saw a woman next to one of those machines there. Noid calls it a mainframe.
Mm-hmm.
She was dressed like someone who's been raised by their grandmother, you know, strange old clothes. Had this absent expression, didn't say anything, just stood still.
Go on.
And then, you know, right behind her, a man crawled down the wall. Upside down like a crab, down the church wall. I think the woman didn't even know he was there. He was completely silent.
Is that like some hallucination she has?
He stopped
Head.
right before he got to the floor, then just hung there like that, looking at me. Right at me. I fucking turned around and walked out. End of story.
I mean, there's an explanation
Like the
for
crab,
this.
you say?
The lieutenant nods, his face is stone. What did the scrapman look like?
It was too dark. I couldn't tell exactly.
This is where you could confuse, like, right, some animal or some contraption.
Come on, she obviously could. She already went into detail.
And quit stalling on me. What did he look like? All right, I don't believe you.
He looked like a banger, okay? He was all muscular and stuff. Had a mesh tank top. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that only made it scarier in a way.
Okay.
A crab and a banger?
Lieutenant raises an eyebrow.
Yes, a banger. As in a mess gang member. I know what it sounds like, but that's what I saw.
You were wrong. I do believe you. Well, I mean, telling her to her face I don't believe you is stupid.
Why?
What would you stand to gain?
Nothing. Anyway, what else?
Like to know more about your associates.
My associates? I haven't got much to say about them.
She blows on her chilled fingers. You mean you must know something about them?
Of course I do. I just don't tell people about my friends and who they are and so on. I don't provide information on them.
I mean, it's smart.
To the cops.
Okay, maybe I'll ask her. What about you? Tell me something about yourself.
Me? I'm a silver bird.
Okay, maybe I'll ask her later about all this.
Don't know what makes you think it'll be any different later, but...
What's that device you have there?
This is a portable recording device. It's for field recording. Low quality, but still.
And the wires?
Actually, just one wire. I picked on it till the braiding came loose. The wire leads to a contact microphone.
Got it.
Okay.
What are you doing out here in the cold?
Recording, I guess.
And what is it you're recording exactly?
I think I'm recording cracks in the ice. But there's no way to tell. Not without headphones. I think I just recorded your footsteps too. Not sure how that will sound.
She scratches her forehead. So she's recording for like for their audioscapes music kind of deal, or is she just recording out of boredom? And what are these recordings for? The cracks, the footsteps?
The musicians in the Elysium used them for making music. They looped the stuff, cutting the tapes together.
Electric.
They make music out of cracks in the ice and keys jangling. Crazy sounds like that. It's hard to explain.
Nah, it's easy to understand.
Anyway, I thought I'd make some too. It's supposed to be, like, a music place anyway.
She rubs her shoulders and looks around.
I don't really know what I'm doing. They use synthesizers too. I don't have a synthesizer.
She looks at the recording device. The thing she thought would fill her hours with joy and escape. It's turning out to be an empty fantasy. She feels childish. Very useless all of a sudden.
Empathy. Right, thank you, man.
Take this, you're cold.
The lieutenant begins to take off his jacket.
No, man, fuck that, I'm cool. I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry about the fuck.
It's okay.
Lieutenant backs up, he throws you a glance. Now this is where a head would come in handy. Give her your head. Here, you need this more than I do. I actually like my head. That's the thing. You said it's supposed to be a music place. Did you mean the one Andres got playing? Okay, you know what.
Thanks.
I'll miss you, my head. She puts it on. It's a bit large for her. I mean, it's not gonna warm her. That's what. I lost the Dick Mullen head. No. Alright, boys. You know what? Like, I don't do that often, but I'm actually gonna reload. I don't... Maybe we could go into this later. Let me see some... Yeah, I'm gonna reload. Hopefully it works out. Load the quick save. 'Cause... that's not a great head to have, right? So, I think the best head I can give her, which is a serious head, which is the orange bum head for the reaction time, that I don't really need. or this one here for the logic. I don't know which one I want to use. I mean, I guess, like, I could give her that hat, which looks the most, like, warm.
A shaggy looking.
Oh,
I'm gonna go through that.
But she's not wearing a hat.
that's my name. I take it you have met the others. Did they tell you about the church and the club thing?
Okay, I could act confused here. Let's do that.
Come on, quit playing. Will you help us with the church?
I'll be
Great.
alright.
Let us know if there's any progress, will ya? We've been waiting for weeks here.
Huh?
Maybe she didn't.
So should you. Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. My whole family swears and it rubbed off on me. Oh,
She's less prone to blurt it out. Crab man.
okay. She was dressed like some, and then he stopped.
Like a crab, you
It was too.
Come on. She obviously.
He looked like
A crab.
yes, a banger, as in a mess gang member. Why? Nothing.
Alright, we did
Anyway,
it
what
like we
else?
did it before.
My associates. I haven't got much to say about. Of course,
To the cops.
me. Don't know what makes you think it'll be any different later, but this actually just one wire. I picked on it till the braiding came loose. The wire leads to a contact microphone. Okay. Recording, I guess. I think
What happened to the old headphones?
the musician. Anyway, I don't really know.
She looks at the recording device.
Alright, nice.
The thing she thought would fill her hours with joy and escape. It's turning out to be an empty fantasy.
Take this, you're called.
No, man.
It's okay.
He throws me a glance and I'm like, here, you need to this more than I do.
Thanks.
She puts it on. It's a bit too large for her. You said it's supposed to be a music place. Did you mean the one Andres got planned, the church?
Yeah, the boys think it could be a place, like the Palaceum or something. Stupid.
What's a Palaceum?
It's really not going to be a Palaceum, that's for sure.
And who are these boys?
The boys.
Yeah, Andre and the guys, inside the tent.
And why is that?
Why are you freezing out here while the boys are inside?
They got too much stuff crammed in there. No room.
Stuff like what?
Didn't you see it yourself? It's mostly music stuff, like this tape recorder, but bigger.
Why not just leave some of it outside? You don't have to, so you don't have to freeze.
That stuff is more expensive than I am. More expensive than any of us, really. Doesn't matter. I can take the cold.
So yeah, that's sad. That's sad to hear, right? If somebody's like, that inanimate object it's more expensive than I am or we are. That's like some harsh expression that yeah, I mean, some of us would say that sometimes about things, but it's like hearing that and recognizing what it entails, right? That you have some kind of value or worth that is tied to you. When actually your life should be invaluable, right?
Go ahead.
Ooh. Tell me more about this music place you've been planning in the church.
It's supposed to become like a club for anodic dance music, like that new style of synthesizer stuff they play at the Palaceum. Except that, yeah.
Looks at the old wooden church up on the poles. As a mean wind comes bellowing in, the 6-story structure lets out a doleful shriek. What is anodic dance music?
You know, anodic, cathodic, music that's made with electronic instruments.
Electronic instruments, like what?
Synthesizers and tape consoles. Microcomputers too.
Uses
Anything that uses electricity, but isn't guitars. Also found sounds, stuff like that.
You see clear, beautiful, violent flashes of light.
Inland Empire.
Light cutting through a smoke-filled darkness. That is what the future will look like, if it ever comes. This is an evolutionary step up from amplified instruments, which in turn are a step up from acoustic instruments.
It becomes
What
more
comes after
chaotic.
it, you wonder. A black-tinted nothingness, or something finer?
We are inventing death grips right here. Enough about the church then, I had another question.
Go ahead.
Alright, we're gonna try this. It's a white check, so we can level up empathy at some point.
The device is cold to the touch. An angular Omicron logo adorns the yellow plastic cover. Underneath, you see a reel of tape rolling. You put the device back on the ice.
So that's it for now.
Okay, bye.
Turns her attention back to the recording device. Alright, we're gonna figure it out at some point. Actually, I was thinking, like, first of all, we're gonna push this over.
A pane of ether, barely hold it. The pane falls into the icy snow with a soft thunk.
Nice. Alright, we got the shortcut. Let's put the thingy back on. Right, that's nice. And then I would like to talk to Noid, actually, because we haven't talked to him.
So you had a talk with Andre, and now you want to discuss things with Noid. Good.
Skin shows through the holes in the Speed Freak's too large sweater in front of him. An open toolbox full of carpentry tools and parts.
It's good you talked to Andre first. Gave me time to get a reading on your sign. Can't really talk to people before you get a reading.
He runs his hand through his hair, which is combed back in mock seriousness, and continues to fiddle with some gears. Sign?
Yeah, gotta compare. See if we can align.
Interesting.
I suck at socialising, man. Even now, our sign synchronisation is way off. But I'll see what I can do.
Continues to rearrange his tools. Tell me about the machines he saw in the church.
Weird stuff. Specialised. There was a data processor and some sort of long-wave machinery.
Data. Long-wave machinery.
Wires going into water. Gives off a spy sign. Or some fucked-up Samaran science sign. You know, the kind that goes head first into the supernatural.
Okay.
The People's Republic of Samara is a product of Revachel's sister revolution on the Grad Isola. It's known as a severely degenerated rogue state.
Alright. What's wrong with the supernatural?
Nothing's wrong with it. You should definitely be researched. You can still do sick shit with it, though.
The sickest? That's perhaps why it should be researched.
Yes, Inland Empire, let's do it. The supernatural, so you think it's real that it actually exists?
Most of it doesn't exist. But there's also stuff that isn't allowed to exist. Because the moralists think it's too dangerous for the plebs.
Yes.
Psionic powers, pale-related diseases, pretenders pretending to be human,
skinwalkers,
rights, that kind of stuff.
Wendigos, oh yeah. Why are you called Noid?
The hardcore aesthetic is esoteric. It's not meant to be discussed with the law at this moment.
Picks up some sort of widget.
It's not easy to reach a harmonic resonance of signs without some adjustment.
Does this mean we need sign matching?
Yes. Further sign matching would do good for us. One way to achieve this would be by getting us into the church.
So, all right, do something for us. We'll open up.
A young man with peroxide blonde hair holds up a Harman Welshi tape player, nodding along to the music. He looks at you with a knowing smile and says, as though you're supposed to be sharing some tremendous evangelical secret.
Hardcore!
Is it?
It's hardcore!
You're just gonna keep saying it's hardcore, aren't you?
Skibbity, skibber danger. I am the rearranger.
Are you?
Could there have been a right way out of this garden of forking paths, you think?
Holy shit. No comment to all of that. We're gonna go for the church, actually, I think. Just see, make ourselves an image of what's happening over there. Because I'm sure there's a lot happening over there.
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood.
Inspect the carpentry.
The carving on the door is block-like and angular, like the church itself.
Okay.
Two large beams shoot downwards, sinking into the wood before they reach the threshold.
Run your hand over a beam.
The surface is smooth from the wind, but moist to the touch.
Take a closer look at the padlock.
This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock is adorned with a yellow sticker. It'll be easier to break the staple than the lock. Also, that sticker is interesting, somehow.
Look at the sticker.
You see a yellow circle with 2 X's and a big curve below them that looks like a mouth. You're pretty sure you haven't seen it before, but what the symbol depicts is
smiling dead guy.
A smiling dead guy. The curve makes it smile, and the X's make it dead. There is something blindingly modern about this symbol. Its modernness puts to shame everything you've seen before.
You seen the symbol before, Kim?
He takes off his glasses and uses a blue handkerchief to thoroughly wipe them clean before inspecting the sticker. Then he looks up, pauses, and replies.
No.
Does it look like to you?
Looks like a dead man smiling. Suggests junior delinquency.
Okay, what is junior delinquency?
I haven't seen that sticker before, and I'm not a youth.
Okay, it's very modern, but does the cherry guy not know he's dead, or does the dead guy not care that he is? What is the source of... cheery. What is the source of the irony here?
That level of conceptual thinking is not part of my skill set.
Oh, come on, Kim. Humor me, okay? Try to peel off the sticker without ripping it.
There's nothing like the sound of a sticker unpeeling. Now it's stuck to your thumb.
Sticker in your ledger after the last entry where it belongs. Sticker on your ledger right on the cover. No. Shake it off in your thumb and throw it in the wind. Nah.
Looks like today was a gold star day.
Open the padlock with the key.
The lock turns easily. You hear a click as the shackle pops open.
Let's go.
Pull on the doors.
You hear the echo of the doomed commercial area. It's black holes and dusty machines. Then the feeling passes.
Ooh, Inland Empire sees some patterns here.
Into the dark innards of the church, as though rushing to fill a great vacuum in the heart of the city.
Wow. Holy shit, they weren't wrong about the machinery. Oh, that is cool. Strange stillness fills you as you look ahead. You should walk here, not run. Alright. I'll say with that, I am bringing this episode to a close, I would say. I might be recording a bit more, but I definitely do need a pause. So I'll see you next time, boys and girls, for Disco Elysium. The soundtrack is immaculate, as always. And we had a lot of very interesting discussions here, making our way through this northwestern part of the map. A lot of interesting, exciting things got kicked loose here. Just by time, right? By like it being Wednesday, finally. 17:08, and we are going to end it. I thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope you do enjoy these new episodes of Disco Elysium. We got a bunch of other stuff that I'm recording in the process in the meantime of all of that stuff. See you next time, hopefully very soon, and till then, thanks to all my patrons, by the way. Thanks to Flaming Shark, Nathan Sink, and all the others, and everybody who joined lately. So, shout out to all of you, and thank you.